Give some people some time to hop on in. Testing. I am currently testing this microphone, seeing if it'll work. Maybe. Gonna wait for people to hop on in. This is not working. Testing, 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 testing. I am currently testing this microphone. Testing, testing, testing. Perfect. Alrighty, we're gonna get started here in a minute. If for whatever reason you do want to follow along, perfect. If you don't, perfect. I will be posting that link tree here shortly. Just give me a slight moment. Alrighty, it looks like we're gonna get started. Um, if you want to follow along, I have it on my screen. If you don't want to follow along, that's perfectly fine. If you want to buy the book, by all means, I did just update the description for you guys. So, let's get started. The Haunting of the Mansion, a mysterious tale of unexplained deaths. Chapter 1. My dad passed away in his mansion in 5034, where he has a mansion. He owned several, but this is one he lived in the most. He wasn't a king, let alone a prince. In fact, we aren't even in the royal family. I was estranged when my family decided that I wasn't good enough to live with them after I started my career as a server. I was fresh out of high school, 18 years old. I knew I wouldn't be allowed back in their lives until they have their own kids. I went back to school after a few years of serving and bartending. I didn't know what I wanted to major in, but eventually to university in the States. I went to university boy. Short, brunette, with long hair, typically wear my hair in braids. I also typically dress like someone who tries to keep up with the trends. My siblings also had their kids. They didn't talk. I never really cared because they weren't always the nicest to me. I don't have my own kids at 38 nor a partner. I never bothered to come out to my dad, Ken. When I finally got into my own place, I threw everything he ever gave me. I threw out everything he ever gave to me because I didn't want to see pictures of our family. There were times when my family blamed me for her death, and that's probably true. But nobody told me why I was a reason for her death. Ken moved on. I was the child nobody talked about. I just went to school and went to my room. Those were the only two places I went. Never went outside to do anything else. I never had friends, probably for the best. I never bugged Ken, but anytime he was mad that something was moved, I was the one who got yelled at. I knew the mansion was haunted, but I never talked back or even spoke when he was shouting at me. I just endured it. There were too many instances of this happening. Anyway, now that you know my backstory, there is a lot that needs to be talked about with the mansion. The mansion was haunted, like I said, but there seemed to be a pretty huge amount of them. It seems like there was a party and I played Russian roulette. I don't know how old it is, but it seems like it happened on multiple occasions. It seems like this happened on multiple occasions. There would be windows opening, doors slamming, and things in the wrong places. Sometimes I can hear a musical band playing their instruments at night. The piano, guitar, violin, drums, every instrument we owned was being played at once. When it was happening, my dad heard it. He would go see who was playing, the ghost would stop, and I would get yelled at. I would be dead asleep, and he would come in to scream at me, despite me never being out there. Now, before you ask, I did go into the kitchen to eat dinner, but I would have to make it myself. I also school. There were nights I didn't eat dinner because I was studying and didn't care to eat. I think that is where I think that is from the screaming he did every time something went wrong. I was sometimes even more than 100% because of extra credit. I didn't talk in school and kept to myself. Uh, This is how I was known as the mute. But that's another story for another day. I never got called on by the teacher to answer questions and never answered any. I didn't struggle in school, just put in a lot of work. My counselor did try to get me to talk, but it never worked. I never talked because I knew nothing would be done. There was so much going on in that school, I didn't want to be a part of it. I never wanted to be associated with anyone because they were not my type of people. I eventually stopped eating dinner altogether due to the amounts of bullying in school I went through. I never showed how I felt. My sister Sky reached out to me when I got into college. I think she was following me on my social, but I have since deleted it to the States for school. We got around to talking and she apologized for how she treated me. She was the one she was the only one who apologized and I was shocked. She never did that in the past. She moved to the States a few years ago but didn't tell anybody. My brother, Jared, found out she moved, told Dad, and now she is disowned as well. Sky told me I can move in with her if I'd like to avoid being in the dorms. I said no, but thanked but thanked her for her offer. She had 4 kids. She also told me there were 16 more nieces and nephews I didn't even know existed. I'm not going to list them because that would be boring. I moved to the States, got a new job, and went through college. It was interesting to say the least. It was nothing like what I expected. I still didn't talk in school, but had to when I was working. Luckily, I never ran into any of my schoolmates. It's in, it is interesting, to say the least, because I always wondered what was going on back home. I never realized my dad passed away this year. Alright, we are going to stop here for a minute, let you guys decipher, and tell me what you think. Chapter 2. After Sky told me about Dad's passing, I wasn't fazed. I just sarcastically asked, how did he die? Drinking himself to death? The ghosts he didn't believe in? Falling out a window? She was shocked. How could you say that? Do you care? No. Didn't he disown you too? Do you feel bad for him? I retorted, laughing a little. Sky went silent. She didn't know what to say. She just sat there on the other end and started to worry me. So I asked, are you still there? Yeah, I was just thinking about why I still cared about a man who disowned me. We both laughed and started joking around. Belle called me. Belle called and told me the police and news are on the way. Hopefully they will get more details. Any articles yet? Not yet. I'm just hoping this blows over our heads, but I'm booking a flight back to England. Do you want a ticket? No, I don't want to visit them at all. They aren't family to me anymore. I wasn't going to tell her that I didn't want to see my family. I just wanted to be my own person and not be on his property. For all we know, he could be haunting the house now with all the other ghosts. Texting again in a funny tone. I laughed to myself when I was typing this. It was funny in my head. You knew about the ghost too? I thought it was just me. She responded quickly. I reminded her about all the incidents I was yelled at for when it was the ghosts who were doing it. Later in the evening, I got to my studio and started to paint. Since I wanted to create something that showed my past without writing it out, I painted a mansion that had a storm over it on one side and me on the other with the ghosts around. Looking at my now dead father who was screaming at me, I knew I shouldn't have laughed, but I did. I don't know why I found it comical. It just made me happy. Was only a trace on the canvas. Wanting to paint it, I put my apron on, grabbed my painting stuff, and got to work on the mansion. It looked spooky, but it was also fierce. I loved the way it looked. Sending it to Sky, I said, look what I made. She responded with some not so nice words. I had to remind myself what I went through. She isn't the brightest out of all of us. I was the smartest one, but apparently the most creative too. She didn't side with me, but I'm going to paint another one and hang it up. One is going to be sent to an art museum. She got mad when I said that. I blocked her for the night and she started to get really mad. I didn't want to see her text and I didn't want to feel invalidated by someone who didn't go through what I did. After the painting was finished, I decided to hang my copy on a wall. I forgot to mention I own my own home and have several paintings hanging up. Going to bed for the night felt different. Why was she still mad when I reminded her of my trauma? Did she not like my success? I texted her in the morning to say I didn't appreciate her telling me off for painting my trauma. It was also a remembrance of Dad. Not like I wanted to remember him, but it was something. I also contacted the art museum that buys my paintings and asked if they wanted one. "What's it about?" The museum owner asked. Mostly remembering my father, but it also shows that I went through some trauma. I can tell a backstory behind the piece after sending you a photo. I responded, hoping he would buy it. Nick was always nice to me. Sure, send me the photo and I'll take a look at it, Nick responded. I sent him the photo and he absolutely loved it. I have my own section of the museum now because my work has been attracting a lot of traction. I have made a lot of money having these there. It surprised me when he texted 4 million in the backstory in 3 hours. I have someone who wants to buy it. Can you make another one in the meantime? I was shocked someone wanted to buy it. I wasn't going to sell it to someone else, but I can make another one, but it won't dry in time. I'll print the backstory and bring the completed one down. I'll also see how far I can get on the next one. I'll see you in 3 hours. Responding back felt different. Was someone looking over his shoulder and offered to buy it? Great. I had a millionaire looking over my shoulder when you sent the picture. I'll pay you more for the next painting being hung in the museum. See you soon, Nick responded. Nick replied. While I was on my way to the museum, I got a text from Greg, my fourth sibling, fourth born child. Dad's dead. I wanted you to. Would you like to come down? Greg. I ignored the text and focused on driving. These people in the USA are nuts when it comes to driving. I get to the museum and my phone is blowing up with texts. I didn't know how Greg got my number, but I saw more texts from others. Emily, the firstborn, Belle, the fifthborn, Andrew, the seventhborn, and my other siblings. It's all the same message. I silenced my phone and went into the museum. I see my section and see a lot of sold signs. Confused, I walked over to my section where and saw where to hang the photo. Zoe, thanks for hanging it up for me. He handed me an envelope. I opened it and see $54 million after counting. What are all these sold signs doing by my paintings? I asked, confused and a little angry. Relax, your work has been bringing in a lot of revenue, and people wanted to buy them. We started to auction your paintings because there was so much interest. All the money that I handed you is from selling us the paintings. We too we took 5 million for ourselves as a tax. We will be giving you a W-2 at the end of the year for taxes and have marked you as an employee who gets paid by commission. I hope you're not mad, Nick responded, taken aback by what I said. I wish you would have told me this was happening, and I would have come down with more paintings. I have a lot for you to see, I responded. We finished up, and I went down to the bank to deposit the cash. The bank teller, Tyler, asked how I was making so much. I paint paintings for the museum down the street. I didn't realize they started auctioning them until today. Tyler laughed. Yeah, I've seen the work that is there. You're not the only one having it happen to them. A lot of people are making money like that. I just do this because I don't have the money, time, or energy to paint things myself. I went to college for this and art, but never could find the time to create anything because this job takes so much out of me. Well, it's a relief I'm not the only one who's having their paintings sold. I can help you with your own setup if you like. Maybe that'll make it easier for you to get started. I responded, offering to help because I see him every time I come in. It's okay. I'll get around to it eventually. I have tomorrow and Sunday off to see what I can do. I know art stuff is expensive, he replied. I knew exactly what I had to do in order to make become an artist. Text me your address, I'll help you out and see if I can make you a great artist. Okay, I'll send it after my shift is done. You still have my number? He quickly asked. Yep, I look forward to hearing from you. You're all set. I'll see you later, cutie. He winks at me as he calls me a cutie. I blush as I walk out. My phone was blowing up for a while and I figured it died. I set it on charge when I got home and started looking on my computer for art supplies for him. I want him because he is the best thing that ever happened to me since I came down here. I turn on my phone and see a bunch of texts from my siblings, an email from the lawyer, and a few attempts from the England police trying to contact me. I go through everything, put all my siblings in a group chat, do a mass text. I know Dash is dead. Sky told me. Y'all don't need to blow up my phone. Sky, check your texts. I go to text Sky, why did you give my number to everyone? I didn't want them to have my number. Why didn't you ask before sending it to everyone? Sorry, Zoe, I forgot to ask. I didn't think you would be mad about it. Let's go back to the group chat, she responded. She didn't sound sincere about her apology at all. I go back to the group chat, all the same messages. Are you coming back to England? Do you want to help with funeral arrangements? Did you hear from the police and the lawyer? I responded to one message. This is my last message to you guys. One, I'm not coming back to England. I have a feeling I know who told you I left. Two, I'm not helping with funeral arrangements. That is all on you. I got kicked out at 18 and I haven't heard from you guys in 30 and 20 years. Three, I have email and voicemails from the police and an email from a lawyer. I did not want to hear from you guys again, and I will let the police and lawyer know anything they want to know, and promptly left the group chat. I looked at I looked at the lawyer's email and responded, telling her to send me the results for my side of the will. Within the next week, I got news from Sky that more people were dead, including the person who was reporting the incident. I texted her back, but wasn't so nice about it. Alright, chapter 2 is complete.